What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well, feeling great, and enjoying freedom. It's a great day to have a great day. Today, we're going to be talking about the spot price of silver climbing back up into the $25 an ounce range. Gold is up as well, but we have some pretty important Federal Reserve updates that I think we need to talk about, as well as Russia and Ukraine update as well. We're going to get into it, but really quick, just in case you're new, make sure to subscribe for daily videos. Subscribe to my second channel for weekly videos. Get yourself some DYDSS merchandise to help support the channel. Come and join us in the Precious Metals VIP Club. And of course, go and get your 5 free stocks by downloading Webull and funding your account. They bumped it up from 2 free stocks to 5 free stocks just for the next couple of days. So don't miss out on this one. Everything is linked in the description. So today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. Happy March, everybody. Spot price of silver, as I'm filming the video, is $25 even. It's up 59 cents, which doesn't seem like too big of a deal, but if you look, it's up 2.42%. Look at that, almost 2.5%. Spot price of gold, as I'm filming the video, is $1926.60. It's up $17.90, or up 0.94%. Pretty solid green day for gold as well. And of course, the gold to silver ratio is in the 77 to 78 to 1 range. But again, that's as I'm filming the video, not as I'm editing, posting, or as you're watching. So head on down to the comments and let me know the date and time you're viewing the video and what the current spot price is for you. I'm always curious. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to be talking quite a bit about the silver and the gold because there was something related to compound interest when it comes to stacking that I thought would make for an interesting topic of discussion today. And as you can see on display, we have the same coins, rounds, and bars that we had on display yesterday. Creatures of the North, Queen's Beast, miscellaneous coins, miscellaneous bars, some junk silver, and some gold backs down there in the corner. But before we can even get into the money, I think we need to first talk about the currency, and more specifically, Jerome Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, testifying before Congress, and some Russia and Ukraine updates. So first things first, let's quickly go over some Russia and Ukraine news because the battle continues. Today we learned that Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, was just run through by a 40-mile line of Russian tanks and vehicles as they continue heading toward Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Now, if you watched the video that I posted yesterday, you would have heard me say that it's likely that Russia may begin taking aim at more residential areas of Ukraine to increase the death count, as this takeover has been met with far more resistance than Putin probably expected. Now, I don't know if that's why Russia chose to plow through Kharkiv today, but so far it's being reported that at least 11 people have been killed and at least 35 have been injured over this alone. But it's also important to point out that due to this invasion not being as quick and easy as expected, a lot of Russian soldiers are running out of food, running out of ammo, and running out of fuel for their vehicles. In fact, I found this pretty funny article that talks about how a Ukrainian soldier was just mocking a Russian soldier who was broken down on the side of the road, and he offered him a ride back to Russia. That's gotta burn, huh? Imagine, like, breaking into someone's house or something, being met with the consequences, and then the homeowner puts you in his car and drives you to the hospital. That's got to be an interesting feeling. I just thought that I would point that out and figured it would be a little bit of light in the dark right now. But moving forward away from all that, before we get into the silver and gold, we also need to talk about the Federal Reserve because starting tomorrow, Jerome Powell will be testifying before Congress. This will be a 2-day deal. Tomorrow, March 2nd, and Wednesday, March 3rd. Now, this is pretty important because it's most likely going to be Jerome Powell's last public statement made before the official end of the taper and beginning of the rate hikes. So tomorrow, Powell will meet with the U.S. House Financial Services Committee to issue his semi-annual monetary policy update. And then on Wednesday, he's going to be meeting with the Senate Banking Committee. And it's also important to point out that we're only about a week, maybe a week and a half away from the release of the February inflation report. The jobs report comes out in just a couple of days, but I'm not nearly as concerned about that one. I'm actually pretty optimistic about jobs, and if you've watched the videos that I've posted in the past, you'll know that I pointed out that we've been seeing a lot of people return back to work. Inflation is, on the other hand, that's something that I think we need to worry about. I don't think we need to be really lasering in on jobs right now. But the inflation report, only about a week and a half away from the release. And not to go too far back here, but the November inflation report was already bad enough. We were looking at the highest inflation in 30-something years. Then the December report came out, and we learned that inflation had climbed up to 7%, the highest we have seen in 40 years. And then, of course, January's report came out, and we learned that inflation had gone up all the way to 7.5%. And as for the February report, which comes out next week, I personally don't have a good feeling about this one. It's far too early for the rampant inflation to be settling down, especially with rates not yet raised. And now, on top of all of that, we have the Russia and Ukraine crisis disrupting the already heavily disrupted supply chain. I don't know, I just have a really bad feeling that the numbers are going to be over 7.5%. But as we know, the Federal Reserve really does all that it can to stay transparent and predictable, as it doesn't want to shock the market. So regardless of how bad the upcoming inflation report may or may not be, I don't think that they're going to take emergency action before the scheduled March 16th meeting, as that would be less than a week apart. I do personally believe that rates are going to be hiked in larger increments than originally planned. We're probably going to be looking at 0.5% at a time rather than 0.25% at a time. Now, I do believe that that's going to be the case, but time will soon tell if that's going to happen. So we know that the taper is coming to an end and rates will be raised, but something that I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about is the fact that the Federal Reserve has the power and ability to intentionally send us into a recession. And I'm talking about a technical recession. 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. If that's what it takes to get inflation under control, because remember, people are still spending money like it's going out of style. We overstimulated the economy for 2 years. And now, people have more money than they've ever had before. They feel richer than they've ever felt before. Meanwhile, prices are skyrocketing month over month over month, and no one seems to care. The crazy continuous spending is driving up prices even more. So we have inflation for a variety of different reasons. Number one, way too much currency printing that got done over the last 2 years. Way too many people spending currency like crazy over the last 2 years. And of course, supply chain constraints. These are all playing a role in why prices keep going up. The price of everything continuing to go up across the board. Nearly every single category, month after month after month, is not only on the rise, but skyrocketing. Which leads me to believe that we may get sent into an intentional, on-paper recession over this, as a way of preventing inflation from potentially turning into hyperinflation. But anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Now finally, before we get into the silver and the gold, let's take a quick look at how the stock market is reacting to all of the craziness today. We currently have the S&P 500 down 0.85%. We have the Dow Jones down 1.25%. We have the NASDAQ down 0.65%. Another day of red across the board. Everything in the red. Continuing to decline. Everything continuing to fall. We are looking at around a 10% drop from recent highs. Now, the closer we get to a 20% drop, that's when people are really going to start freaking out. I don't know if we're going to get to that point. I'm assuming that we probably will, though. Not even going to lie. I think we are going to get to that point, especially if we continue down this path. Now, really quick, once again, before we get into the silver and gold, since we're on the topic of the stock market, friendly little reminder, go and get your 5 free stocks by downloading Webull and funding your account. They're going to give you 5 free stocks just for doing so. Usually it's 2. They bumped up to 5 for the next couple of days, so capitalize on that while you can. And of course, they have a March promo going on right now. Actually, they have 2. For every friend that you refer to Webull, by March 15th, they will give you 10 free stocks. And if you simply refer 3 friends by the end of the month, you have the whole month to do this, you'll get a spin on the Webull wheel where you have a chance of winning either 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, or maybe even 10 free shares of Apple. You're guaranteed at least 1 though. Just for referring 3 friends. That's all you got to do. Just click that little invite button, send it to 3 people that you know. It's quite literally that simple. Don't pass up on an opportunity. Webull link in the description. I'm always excited about their monthly promos, but this is one that I'm especially excited about. So don't miss out on this. This one's going to be fun. But moving away from all that, moving away from stocks, moving away from Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell and Russia and Ukraine, moving away from all of that, let's now talk about the silver and the gold. Mainly the silver. Now, I'm pretty excited to see the spot price of silver climbing back up into the $25 an ounce range. It's currently $25 even, premium excluded, of course, as I'm filming the video at about 11 in the morning. This video doesn't come out until 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Although if you're in the Precious Metals VIP Club, you can watch it as soon as I'm done editing it, usually around 12 or 1 p.m. But either way, I'm pretty excited to see spot price jumping up the way that it did today. It's up almost 2.5% as I'm filming the video. Now, obviously, as I've been saying over the years, the lower the better. I'd prefer to see silver move in a downward direction. I said in yesterday's video that it seemed like $24 an ounce was the quote-unquote support level or the secure line for silver right now, or the spot price of silver, that is. I would have preferred to see silver fall to $23 an ounce than to see it jump to $25 an ounce. But to be honest with you, I'll take what I can get right now. It's just nice to see some movement. It's incredibly boring when silver is just moving sideways. I like seeing some momentum. I don't care if it's in an upward direction or a downward direction. It gives us something a little bit different to talk about. But since we're on the topic of silver, and I guess also gold as well, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I like to call compound stacking. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the compound effect, it's almost synonymous with the snowball effect or the ripple effect. What the compound effect means is small steps in the right direction, taken consistently over time, will eventually lead you to where you want to go. So when it comes to fitness, obviously you have to stay consistent with exercising, working out, eating clean and whatnot if you want to hit your goals. When it comes to this, you have to stay consistent if you want to hit your goals. If it comes to that, you got to stay consistent if you want to hit your goals. It's no different when it comes to silver and gold, by the way. This is something that I came to realize maybe about 2 years back. I don't remember when I first came up with it, but compound stacking. Because at the end of the day, it adds up. It might not seem like it adds up. It might seem pretty tough turning a small pile of silver into a mountain of silver, because obviously it takes time. Just because silver's dirt cheap right now doesn't mean that it doesn't take a long time to get your hands on a whole wheelbarrow full of silver. But it adds up over time, especially if you choose to stay consistent and if you choose to stay determined and committed to your goals. Now, I don't know what your goals are. Maybe you don't have a set number of troy ounces that you want to have in total, or maybe you do. Maybe your goal is to hit 1,000 troy ounces or 10,000 troy ounces, and at that point, I don't know, maybe you'll stop or maybe you'll continue stacking. I have no idea. But regardless, something that I have found is that once you've been stacking for a little bit of time, and it takes a little bit of time to get there, but once you get into the habit of picking up a little bit of silver, taking a small piece of your paycheck and just picking up a couple of coins, even if it's just a troy ounce of silver or two. The guy that introduced me to silver, that's how he introduced it to me. He told me that every single time he gets paid, he goes to the local coin shop and he picks up 2 silver coins. You don't need to be diving in head first. You don't need to be loading the boat every week or every month. As long as you're staying consistent, as long as you are getting what you can when you can over an extended period of time, all that silver will begin to compound. And you will start to see a troy ounce of silver very easily turns into 2 troy ounces of silver, which very easily turns into 5, which turns into 10, which turns into 15, which turns into 20, which turns into 30, which turns into 50, which turns into 100. And little by little, you'll start to see that pile of silver slowly but surely turning into a mountain of silver. This is what I like to call compound stacking. Now, compound interest is something very similar. For the investors out there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Buying in on a regular basis, regardless of what the market is doing, and obviously you have a little bit more of an upper hand when it comes to investing rather than stacking, because obviously precious metals don't pay dividends. Your investments, a lot of them do, and upon receiving those dividends, you just reinvest those back in to just pick up the pace even more. This is called compound interest. It compounds over time, and the snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It starts rolling faster and faster and faster, and that's just how you create wealth. Compound interest. Compound stacking, on the other hand, is what I consider to be the way to preserve wealth. Because there's a difference between investing and stacking. I'm not going to deep dive into that. I'm pretty sure we all know. Investing is a way of creating wealth, building wealth, generating wealth. Stacking silver and gold is a way of preserving wealth, saving wealth. Making money versus saving money. I personally believe you need to make money first before you can save money. You can't save money that you're not making. So that's why I do a little bit of both. And depending on what's going on in the world, I might be focusing on playing offense more than defense, or maybe I'm focusing on playing defense more than offense. It really depends on what in the world is going on. It's not my decision. It's the world's decision, how I change up my game plan and strategy. But regardless, I do both for that reason right there. Compound interest while investing to have that snowball to create wealth, just so that I can later turn around and utilize silver and gold as a tool to preserve the wealth that was created. Compound stacking. That's just the way I see it. That's the way I've seen it for the last couple of years, and I'm very interested. If everybody watching right now, if you see it the same way, if you have noticed, especially when you first got started stacking, obviously it's exciting when you first get started. It's exciting to get started doing anything. When you're new to something, when you're like a brand new rookie, that's probably the most exciting time to get involved in really anything in the world. But it can also be the most discouraging time, because you start to realize, like, oh man, I got to make up for a lot of lost time. I got to catch up. I'm really far behind. That's not true, by the way, but that's how you feel. Or that's how a lot of people feel. That's how I felt. I was like, man, I look at some of these people on Instagram or YouTube, and man, they got hundreds, thousands of troy ounces of silver. Meanwhile, my first time picking up silver, it was just one little silver round. I was like, man, I'm far behind. I got to catch up. I got to make up for lost time. Again, it's not true, but that's just how you feel when you're brand new to anything. It's an exciting time because you just discovered something and you just became a part of something, but it can also be a discouraging time because you realize how far ahead everyone else is, but that's just simply because they started before you. So I'm very curious if when you first got started stacking, or your first couple of months, let's just say, did you notice that you got off to a pretty slow start, but after a little bit of time, maybe you started to notice that the stack was starting to compound? That snowball was starting to build. It was getting bigger and bigger, moving faster and faster. The snowball effect, the ripple effect, the compound effect, whatever you want to call it, they're all very similar. They mean very similar things. That's something that I noticed on my own. And I'm very curious if it's something that you noticed as well. I did not come up with the compound effect. I did not come up with compound interest. I believe I came up with compound stacking. And I'm very curious what your thoughts are on that right there, as well as your thoughts on everything going on with Russia and Ukraine, and obviously everything that's going to be going on starting tomorrow and the next day when it comes to Jerome Powell testifying before Congress. What are your thoughts on that right there? Head on down to the comments and let me know. But also, please make sure to leave a secondary comment, a separate comment, talking about the silver and the gold. Compound stacking. What are your thoughts on that concept? And of course, what are your thoughts on the spot price of silver climbing back up into the $25 an ounce range? Head on down to the comments and let me know. If you guys like today's video, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to my second channel for weekly videos. Go and get yourself some DYDSS merchandise to help support the channel in the biggest possible way. We got t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, coffee mugs in a bunch of different designs. We have the limited edition, luck has nothing to do with it, t-shirt and hoodie. Only available until St. Patrick's Day. Get one while you can. A portion of the proceeds are going to St. Baldrick's Foundation. DYDSS store will be linked in the description. Come and join us in the Precious Metals VIP Club, which is where I do giveaways every single month, live streams multiple times a week, deal alerts on silver and gold every single day. You can watch all of my videos early and commercial free, and every Saturday morning I post a brand new adventure vlog, and there are a ton of other perks as well. I guarantee you the value exceeds the cost. VIP Club link in the description. And of course, last but certainly not least, make sure to go and get your 5 free stocks by downloading Webull and funding your account. That's all you have to do, and they're going to give you 5 free random stocks just for doing so. It's usually 2 free stocks. They bumped it up to 5 for the next couple of days, so if you've been procrastinating, now's the time to go and get yourself on Webull. And of course, one of the 2 March promos that they have going on right now, for every friend you refer up until March 15th, they will give you 10 free stocks each. And if you refer just 3 friends before the end of the month, you have the whole month to do this, they'll give you a spin on the Webull wheel where you're guaranteed at least 1 free share of Apple with the chance of winning 2, 3, 5, 7, maybe even 10 free shares of Apple. Just click the little invite button, send it to 3 people that you know. It's quite literally that simple. Don't pass up on an opportunity. Webull link in the description. Time is running out. And of course, I want you guys to head on down to the comments and let me know once again, what are your thoughts on everything shared in today's video? Of course, when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, what are your thoughts on that right there? What are your thoughts on some of the updates that we had today? When it comes to the Federal Reserve, and more specifically Jerome Powell testifying before Congress starting tomorrow and Wednesday, what are your thoughts on that right there? Do you believe that it will create even more economic uncertainty or fear and uncertainty and doubt in the markets? And then, of course, what are your thoughts on the spot price of silver climbing back up into the $25 an ounce range today? God only knows where it'll be by the time this video comes out, so let me know what the spot price is for you as you're viewing. But regardless, the fact that silver hit $25 an ounce today, what are your thoughts on that? And how do you feel about my concept of compound stacking? Little by little, taking small steps in the right direction, consistently over time, eventually taking you to where you want to go. It applies to everything in life. It applies to fitness, it applies to investing, and of course, it applies to stacking silver and gold. Head on down to the comments and let me know anything and everything related to today's video topic. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Don't you dare stop smiling. Peace.